Hey guys, I could not wait to post this video of me showing you guys how to underpaint. I just recently learned how to do this skill. I know that it's been on the scene for a while, but I always wanted to learn, but I never saw a video to actually show me how to underpaint. So I did want to take my time with this video and show you guys step by step. Beyond the editing, this whole process took about 18 minutes, but you guys will be seeing 10 minutes of it. So basically, underpainting is just highlighting and contouring before you put on the foundation. It's supposed to give you like a really pretty, seamless, more natural appearance. Before you start highlighting and contouring, you want to know the facial shape and you want to know what you want to highlight and what you want to emphasize and also what you would like to recede. So with highlighting, her face is what the books would call a more ideal shape because it is oval, meaning everything is symmetrical. And so I did want to emphasize the center of her face, basically bringing a lot of light towards the center of her face. So I am putting her highlight shade on. As you see that I went back in with my Graftobian Warm palette and I just brightened it up just a little bit. And as we know, the highlight shade is always between 1 to 2 shades lighter than the skin. You can go as light as you want. It doesn't matter. You know, makeup is all about what you make of it. So then I'm using the same eyeshadow packing brush to create a moon shape. Well, I call it a half moon shape. In the center of her forehead and down the bridge of her nose. I like to use brushes and cosmetic wedges when I am applying foundation just because I get more detailed and precise about where I want to place my product. I'm also placing that right underneath her nostrils, but not bringing it down because typically light doesn't really hit you in the face like that. So I'm trying to make this look as natural as possible. Remember, this is my first time doing this, y'all. So let's just see how it come out. So now I'm taking my cosmetic wedge and I am blending underneath her eye just to kind of pick up the excess product. And I'm also going over her forehead, the bridge of her nose, and also underneath her nostril, just to kind of pick up any extra product that I might have put down. And of course, I wanted to kind of blend it out just a little bit because, you know, I was trying to figure out, you know, how to do this. This is my first time. So anyway, so I'm going back in with that brush, and wherever I see that there should be a little bit more product, I am just going back in with the brush and kind of putting that product where I noticed that I could have more coverage at. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this technique that Rennie Vasquez had done. My favorite, AJ Crimson, has done it. And I cannot say this man's name, but he's really big and he does it too. So I'm taking a little bit more of a fluffier brush and I'm getting ready to lay down her contour shade. The contouring really means to sculpt and to make things recede. So I wanted to sculpt out her jawline and kind of make her cheeks look more pronounced. And I am going on the sides to really emphasize that. And as you know, contour shades, I should probably stop saying as you know, because maybe you don't. But anyway, so your contour shade should at least be like between 1 to 2 shades darker than your natural shade. Remember, the darker you go, the more dramatic it is. The lighter you go on your highlight, the more dramatic. Now, when I place my contour on the nose to sculpt the nose out, I do start right where your eye socket and your eyebrow begin to curve. And I connect it. Now on different people, I do different things. Like for her, I went all the way over the shape of her eye socket to emphasize the shape of her eye. Sometimes I do that on people, sometimes I don't. It just really depends on what my hands do, to be honest. When I begin to sculpt out people's face, it really just depends on what I like about their face that I really want to draw attention to. And when I begin to sculpt out the nose, whether I drag it over the eyelids or not, like I said, sometimes my hands do things before I even know that I'm doing it. But I definitely like to feel around on people's faces just to kind of get a feel for where their bones are, where they lay. It's really good to know where your bones lay. So when you begin to sculpt it out, you can know where you want to start drawing lines and start blending it out to emphasize. So I'm taking that same brush and I'm taking like circular motions, and I'm just kind of buffing it out just a little bit, kind of like fanning it out. Because like with this, like I said, I can kind of guess how people do stuff. But when I try to do it, I'm like, I try to find techniques that really work for me. So whenever I do try to put this thing into play, I can actually do it. So now I have her base color, which is her overall color, as some people may say. And I am taking a fluffy, I'll say a blush brush. And I'm just beginning to use circular motions. And I started at her jawline and I began to swipe up over her cheeks. And honestly, y'all, this part scared me to death. Because I'm like, what is it going to do? Is it going to mess her face up? What the world? Like, I was just like, I didn't know. So I did start circular motions, and I'm just going over it as you see. Like, basically I'm dusting, and once I got to the nose, I still did the same circular motions, but I was doing it in a downward motion. And don't be afraid to touch that highlight either, because as you see, the more that I touch that highlight, the more it begins to be blended where I put the contour and where I put the base color. So it's all kind of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you can't separate it. That's what you want it to look like. You want it to be like a seamless blend when you're buffing that in. And you know what I will say? Don't think too much about this, because what I've noticed about myself, when I start panicking or when I start getting fearful, that's when I start making the most stupidest mistakes. Don't mind her face, is when I begin to fear or when I begin to stress. And literally, I just took the thing. I was like, forget it. We just about to go for what we know. And I began to buff that foundation in her skin as if I was just putting it on it overall, like as if she had none of this on and I was just going over it. I hope you guys are getting how I'm explaining this, because I really want y'all to try it and let me know how it went. But it's perfectly okay to sweep the overall foundation over the highlight, because basically it'll help it to tone it down just a little bit if it is too light for you. And it kind of makes that perfect shade. Like, it looks more natural when you do that. I remember Molly Magic had did this on Snapchat before, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I am still taking my wedge and I'm going back underneath her eye to get the creases out that the foundation had creased in her, I don't know what type of wrinkles you would call this, because I don't want to call it wrinkles because my mama not old. But anyway, so before, I wanted to make sure that I did, this is a clean wedge, and just kind of got those creases out before I began to set her whole face. So I'm taking a powder brush, and I am taking my Danessa Myricks Evolution Powder in 01, and I'm beginning to set the foundation. And just to let y'all know, I do not use setting spray, because setting spray is designed to set the makeup quickly. And I like for the makeup to set on its own, and for your natural oils to begin to naturally break down the foundation. If it is too powdery, I might miss it, but like so light that you wouldn't even barely be able to feel it. I really hope that you guys got a lot out of this, because I had so much fun. And like I said, I was going to record this, and if it was trash, y'all would have never saw this. But because it went so well, I was like, man, y'all about to get this tutorial today, honey. So yes, for her look, I did use AJ Crimson foundations. And to kind of bring her contour back to life, I did use my Bare Minerals powder in the number, not the number, but the name Truffle. And I used my e.l.f. powder brush. I love this brush so much, and it's so inexpensive. And I'm also using circular motions. I love using circular motions because it helps to make the stuff that you put down look diffused already. It helps you versus you just going back and forth, because I hate hard lines, because I'm not a really good blender yet. So I have to find ways to make my life a lot easier. And as y'all know, I'm pretty good at doing makeup on other people, but on myself, I'm just so out of practice. I need to fix that. Why did you say that? Whatever. But yes, I'm just going back in, and with this powder, it's more sheer than it is anything. So it's like you can be able to build it up. And I'm also taking that same powder brush and lightly dusting her nose that I had carved out. Now, when you do this, be careful around somebody's nose, because too heavy and that nose will be like stick straight out, like dang, they had to contour your nose. Like, you want everything to look as natural and as seamless as possible. Have a good day, guys.